Welcome to Jazz Time. JazzTime.com is an online store that buys, sells, trades authentic luxury watches. We make these videos so our customers can easily choose the best watch for themselves in the comfort of their own home. If you like this watch or would like to purchase at the lowest price anywhere online, click on the link in the description below to buy it at JazzTime.com. Today, I'll be reviewing the Vacheron Constantin Overseas Perpetual Calendar Ultra Thin in white gold with a Burgundy Dial, 41.5 millimeters, reference 4300V-220G-H151. I'll tell you a little bit about the history of this watch, then I'll tell you about where it stands in the lineup of other similar overseas, then I'll tell you about the case, bezel, dial, bracelet movement, finally try it on and give you my thoughts. So let's start with just a little bit of a history. Now the overseas, if you ask me, actually pretty much anybody, it mirrors, or I would say it's analogous to the Patek Nautilus or the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak, and Vacheron is right up there with those other two brands I just mentioned. Vacheron, AP, and Patek are often seen as the three top watchmakers, and rightfully so, because they're the top watchmakers. And each of those brands have their sports watch that is their premier sports watch. The Nautilus, the Royal Oak, and Vacheron has the Overseas. Now, you would think that the Overseas was created back in 1970 like the Nautilus and the Royal Oak, but it was not. It actually came out in around 1996, so that makes it approximately, I guess, around 30 plus years old, around 30 years old now. And yeah, it's done very well for them. In fact, it's the one watch of Vacheron that sells usually above retail, or at least very close to retail. Okay, so that's a little bit of history. Now, where does this watch stand in the lineup of other similar overseas? Well, they make men's and ladies. So let's just talk about the men's. For men's, they make it in different complications. They make with just time only. They make a chronograph. They make a dual time, the calendar that you see here, and a tourbillon, and probably some other things too. And they have a lot of variations of what I just stated, but basically that's how you can break it down. And what we're looking at today is a perpetual calendar, meaning it can calculate the not only the time, but the date perpetually. And I'll get into that when I start talking about the watch itself, all right? Okay, now and of the perpetual calendars, there's a lot of different variations of them. They make it in different materials. This one is in white gold and with a Burgundy dial. And it's a new release as of 2025. So it's the cool color for now. And yeah, so let's dive right in. That's about enough of where it stands in the lineup. I will say all this before I move on to the next part. The perpetual calendars actually have all their entire overseas collection has been revamped as of, I think it was 23 or 24, and you can tell that by the bracelet will have a 2 in front of it as opposed to a 1, the reference number that is. So yeah, and I'll tell you how it makes it a little bit different than from the previous generation. So let's go ahead and start with the case. Now the case is going to be ultra thin, and when I say ultra thin, dang, they are really talking ultra thin. It is actually only 8 millimeters thick. Now, to give you an idea, to pack this much stuff into a movement that tells this much information, it's a 276 parts, which is not a small amount of parts, but not a lot either. But still, to pack 276 parts in 8 millimeters is pretty darn impressive. They really tried to make it super thin, and it has a diameter, I think a very wearable diameter of 41.5. So it's on the larger side, but you have to consider that this is telling a lot of information: the month, the date, the day, the moon phase. So it's telling a lot of information, and therefore 41.5 just kind of makes sense. Okay. All right. Well, the case itself is, as you can see here, has a very similar to the Nautilus and the Royal Oak, where it has a satin finish top and then a very nice beveled edge that extends down the length of the bracelet so that the watch really just looks integrated. And it really has that look, I'd say this Art Deco 1960 look, but it has it in its own Vacheron way. And you can see it does not look like a Nautilus or a Royal Oak, but it has the same general integrated bracelet idea. Done, of course, in their own way. And some might even say it looks better this way. So Okay, I'm sure Vacheron would say so. All right, now that's the case itself. All right, now let's move on here to the bezel. Now the bezel is interesting because Vacheron somehow integrated their logo into the bezel. And you can see it has this Maltese cross configuration. So it's still circular, unlike the Nautilus and the Royal Oak, but it still somehow integrates this bezel. And I just think that that's probably a reason why this watch has done so well for Vacheron. In fact, has made them one of their watches, one of their few watches that are selling above retail. So, yeah, and it's very difficult to get. And most of the times you have to have bought something to even be considered for this at the authorized dealer, which is why so many people buy them online at watch stores such as jazztime.com, which is how we got this one. Okay, anyways, with that said, that's the bezel, and it has a high polish as well as sort of like a satin finish behind it. A really nice, it's just aesthetic, but aesthetics are important considering that the watch is, this price and stuff. Okay, none of that's really changed from the previous generation. That all kind of looks the same. Let's move on here to the dial here. Now, a lot to unpack. Let's start with the very first obvious thing, which is the dial is going to be in burgundy. That's a new color as of 25. Not a lot of watches are using burgundy as a color. In fact, I can't even think of one that is using burgundy. It's a really great color, so I wonder if they are going to set the trend for other companies to start using more of this burgundy. Now let's kind of unpack what these dials mean. On the right hand side, you have the date 1 through 31, and then on the left hand side, you have the day, Monday through Sunday, and then at the 12 o'clock, you have the month, January through December. But you not only have that, you also have something kind of interesting. If you look carefully, you'll see that you have a leap year indicator as well, and the small hand, when it goes into the blue area, that is going to be the leap year. Now, leap year occurs once every 4 years, and if you look at this, it's a very interesting way that they displayed this year for the month. I'm sorry, they displayed four. It takes 4 years for this hand to go around one revolution. Yeah, pretty interesting, I think. So they as you can see, it goes January to like at the 12 o'clock, it's January to January at the 3 o'clock. So that means it only goes a quarter revolution in 1 year. I've never seen that. It's the first time I've seen that. So it takes 4 years to go around, and it makes sense. The upper left-hand quadrant is the 4th year, which is the leap year. And that year, you'll have 29 days in January as opposed to 28. And yeah, pretty cool if you ask me. Okay, at first I didn't even get what that was. So there's 2 Januaries, 3 Januaries, actually 4 Januaries in there. All right, and at the bottom here, you have a moon phase, and you have stars that are written in there, or not written in there, I guess painted probably in there. So you have a moon with some stars in there. Beautiful moon phase, if you ask me. And on the outside track, you have the minute and hour hand track along with this colored light blue. Looks pretty cool. Really cool color combination against this burgundy. Okay, let's look at the strap now. The strap it actually comes with 3 different straps. You have a white gold strap that is integrated, which is really nice. It has a nice high polish, a beveled edge, as long as an interesting center high polish. And then you have and it also kind of mirrors or mimics this Maltese cross all throughout the bracelet, so that it really gives this integrated look, as if the watch was designed and integrated all at the same time, as opposed to just throwing on any old bracelet. One of the cool things, of Overseas, is that you can actually remove the bracelet, and they're one of the first brands to do this. You can remove the bracelet and interchange it with their other bracelets, such as their burgundy rubber strap that they give, or the white strap, and it allows you to give different looks for the watch. It just, I think, in my opinion, makes the watch look just that much cooler. Okay, so yeah, that is pretty cool. All right, and what else here? And by the way, as I told you in the beginning, they revamped the Perpetual calendar in that the bracelet is now thinner than it was in the previous generation. As in, I think it was 22 millimeters at the buckle, now it's 20. So what I mean by thinner is it has a more pronounced taper going from the head of the watch to the buckle. Before it was all 22, it had no taper, but now it does. And you can tell that by looking at the second number of the reference, which starts with a 2. Before it started with a 1. That represents the bracelet number, and that has gotten thinner and more streamlined. I think the watch itself is also even a little bit thinner too. That's a second difference. Or the case is just slightly different, more refined, I would say. The third, let's go on to the last thing, which is the movement. And the movement here is a reference 1120QP. It has a 276 parts, has a 40-hour power reserve, and allows this watch to have a thickness of only 8 millimeters. The movement, of course, is going to be smaller than that. It's going to be around 4 millimeters. And it's interesting because it's a little different from previous generation. If you look at the rotor is completely filled in. I believe the old rotor had some parts that were cut out right next to the star in the center. I don't think that's a really big issue, but it does look slightly different, and the movement is revamped and well, I wouldn't say revamped. I'd say revised to make it more updated and accurate and smoother. And that, yeah, this is the result. It's beautiful movement. Vacheron, of course, does great movements and great watches. So, one of the top. Okay, now let's move on here and try this watch on. I'll try this watch on. I think this Vacheron is a great watch, and when I wear it on my wrist, I just think, wow, it looks and feels very luxurious, very one of a kind. It's not a watch that a lot of people are gonna have. It's a little bit more undercover than the Nautilus or Royal Oak. You don't get that you get the same luxurious feel, but without knowing that a lot of people can recognize it. Not as many people recognize the Overseas as they do the Nautilus or Royal Oak, and sometimes that can be a benefit. You're still getting a top level name, and maybe even more top than those other two I just mentioned, but definitely up there with them. Okay, and this cool color, white gold with burgundy, is really something to behold. So for that reason, I'm definitely giving this watch 2 thumbs up. And if you'd like to buy at the lowest price anywhere online, click on the link in the description below to buy it at jazztime.com.
If you want to find out more about the watch you just saw in the video, you can just click below on Show More to see the full description. Then you can check the link next to model as seen in video, click on it, and you will get to the proper page where you can see all the details. If you're watching on a mobile phone, you have to click on the arrow down on the right hand side below the video to see the full description. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up. If you would like to share this video with your friends, you can use the share button below and share it on any platform you like. If you have questions, constructive feedback, want to tell us about some mistakes or misspeaks, just write a comment below. If you want to see more videos like this, you should subscribe to our channel and visit our channel page where you can find all the videos. And if you're interested in a specific watch brand, you can check out our playlists. If you want to check the price for a watch or want to buy one, remember at jazztime.com you always get a steep discount, so you should check the prices with us. If you want to know the price for a specific watch, just go to Google, type in JazzTime, plus the brand, model, and the details you're interested in, and Google will find the right page for you. Thank you for watching.